Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. शिष्य उवाच मिथ्यात्वेन निषिद्धेषु कोशेष्वेतेषु पञ्चसु सर्वाभावं विना किञ्चित् न पश्याम्यत्र हे गुरो विज्ञेयं किमु वस्त्वस्ति स्वात्मनात्मविपश्चिता. The student is asking the question to the teacher, O Guru Maharaj. First it was Shishya Uvacha. The student is asking the question. And he says that after negating all the Panchakoshas, Annamaya Kosh, Pranmaya Kosh, Manomaya Kosh, Vijnanmaya Kosh and Anandmaya Kosh. After having negated them, and how did you negate them? By coming to recognize that they are unreal. What is unreal? That which comes and goes is unreal, right? So after having negated the Panchakoshas as unreal, I find, the student is saying, I find nothing but absence of everything. I find absence of everything. And therefore, this question of the student is, O teacher, by which entity then should the wise realize oneness with the self? Now there is complete darkness, there is complete absence, there is only nothingness. Because where the thoughts can come, they can come only in one of the koshas. Now once the koshas have gone, there is nothing to witness. There is no for the sakshi, there should be something to be seen. So a person normally sees the world. Another person is witness of the world, but still the objects are there. And who is a witness? Who does not get disturbed by what he is witnessing, isn't it? So here the stage is further. He says, as a result of that witnessing, everything has become dissolved. All the Panchakoshas have dissolved. And now there is only darkness. There is only absence. There is only nothingness. Now, how do I come to know the reality? If I can't think, if I can't, contemplate, because there is nothingness. Now, how do I come to know the reality? By what will I come to know the reality of the oneness with the self? See, this stage, or this, we should say stage only, not state. This stage is experienced by sincere seekers. And many people become afraid of this and they come back into the Panchakoshas. But if we can slowly and steadily build up the stamina to be able, first thing is to drop the Panchakoshas. Many people are not even able to do it. And why they are not able to do it? Because they have not practiced the first steps. What are the first steps?
Yama Niyama.
Good. Yama Niyama. That is the first stage. Living in the world in such a way that you do not disturb the world nor get disturbed by the world. Niyama is living with yourself in such a way that your habits, your thinking do not become a challenge to yourself. That that refined approach is required. Then by the grace, it will be possible that we go beyond Panchakoshas. Here when the student is saying, I have gone beyond the Panchakoshas, because he has put efforts. Remember this. So it has not happened naturally. He has put efforts. This darkness problem, this absence problem comes when we put efforts. That I am not the body, I am not the breath, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. Who am I? I don't know. That I don't know is this absence. And people get afraid. So to this teacher is going to answer. He says, Shri Guru Ruvacha Satyamuktam Tvaya Vidvan Nipunosi Vicharane Ahamadi Vikaraste Tad Abhavoyamapyanu. Shri Guru Ruvacha. The teacher spoke. What did he say? Satyamuktam Tvaya Vidvan Nipunosi Vicharane.
From updates not installed.
Okay, we don't go install updates.
Updates not installed.
Satyamuktam Satyam
From updates not installed.
I just removed it. Where it gone?
Alert from updates not installed.
Now what do I do, man?
Alert from updates not installed.
How do I do this? Hold on. Going crazy. Satyam Uktam. Uktam means to speak. So he says, the teacher is telling the student that truly, Satyam, truly what you have spoken, Tvaya Vidvan. He is not telling, hey, kahan se aaya hai, faltu mein bol raha hai. No. Tvaya Vidvan, you have really contemplated and come to this conclusion, and true what you have spoken, O intelligent one, O learned one. You are a clever student, you are a clever seeker, because you have worked out everything and come to this conclusion. This conclusion that the Panchakoshas are unreal and coming to the absence cannot happen by coincidence. It cannot happen by chance. It will happen only when a person has properly discriminated. What is discrimination? Discrimination is what? Between real and unreal. Discrimination is between that which is constant and that which is changing. Someone has come. That which is changing. The modifications of the ego as well as its absence. So you have been able to correctly discriminate through all this. Satyamuktam Tvaya Vidvan Nipunosi Vicharane. Namaskar. Nipunosi, Nipun means you are clever, you are good at doing that in your discrimination. Ahamadi Vikaraste. Aham is I, Adi is etc. The ego and etc. Vikaraste, their modifications. Tad abhavo yamapyanu. Tad abhavo. You have come to correctly discriminate and come to see the modifications of the ego as well as the absence of the ego. Sarve ye nanubhuyante yah swayam nanubhuyate tamatmanam veditaram viddhi buddhyasu sukshmaya. He says, the teacher is telling, now the teacher is holding the hand of the student and bringing him, because every night it happens to us. We go to sleep, we enjoy the bliss, we wake up, again we are in waking. Here we are trying to go beyond waking, dream and deep sleep. These are the modifications of the I. So The I itself appears as the waker, the dreamer, the sleeper, and along with it the corresponding world. Now he has come to a point where there is absence of everything, absence of panchakoshas. This can happen where? Can this happen in deep sleep? No. Can this happen in dream? Not possible. Then where is it happening? It is happening only in the waking state. Only in the waking state we can do this sadhana. Only in the waking state we can go into meditation. Only in the waking state we can discriminate. Only in the waking state we can discriminate. So here when he says that, so the teacher is trying to bring it's a subtle operation. It's so subtle that if you catch it, you catch it. If you don't, you will go to sleep. This is what will happen to every student. And what is that? He says, the one who perceives while remaining unperceived. Who is perceiving the absence? Someone said, the student told the teacher that there is only absence. Someone is speaking. That is why he was able to communicate. He communicated what? He communicated his own experience on the seat of meditation, wherein he has systematically, through discrimination, let go or dissolved the identification with the panchakoshas. And then he came to a point where there was only absence. He has observed the absence, and that's why he is able to communicate it to the teacher. This is clear? And the teacher is saying, now in response to that state or that stage or that experience that the student has communicated to the teacher is saying, the one who perceives while remaining unperceived. So what was the student perceiving before the world? Now what is he perceiving? Absence. What is he perceiving? Absence. Because he has given, we have in our life been programmed to think that there is something called nothing. We use this word nothing. We use the word absence. We use the word void. We use the word sleep, which is absence of all thoughts. See? But is there anything called like that? This problem comes on the seat of meditation only when we think there is absence and there is presence. There is something and there is nothing. And we think now, instead of, here the teacher wants the student to be the perceiver in whose presence the absence is expressing, and then whatever happens afterwards, again something will happen. So he says, the one who perceives while remaining unperceived, that you realize to be the self. So rather than giving importance to the absence, to the void, you be the one, not think of the one. Thinking is not equal to realization. You be the one in whose presence absence has appeared or objects have appeared. Who is perceiving this absence? That you are. That is your true self. Now in the absence you don't start, I have to remove the absence and then I have to come to the self. It will not happen. You have to change the game on its where you are. Instead of looking outwards, mind will look outwards, the senses will look outwards. That's why you perceived there is nothing. But who is the one who is perceiving? He is the unknown entity, unknown one. And that is the self. And therefore he says, that is the ultimate knower through and this can be perceived. All this, to come to this point, we have to I will only use these words. We have to program our mind in the right manner. Otherwise, we'll end up in void. We have to program it in the right manner. Before we get into the meditation, we have to be very clear where our attention is. Is our attention on the objects, or are we talking about whatever we are talking about, but our one part of our attention is on the subject itself, that I am. In my presence, in the presence of the self, all these thoughts are coming, all these objects are coming and going, all these perceives, all the perception that is taking place, there is a perceiver. Who is the perceiver? That I am. If they are not there, if I close my eyes, all the perceivers perceived are not there, but I still continue to be. I still continue to be. And therefore, sarve yena anubhuyante yasvayam nanubhuyate tamatmanam veditaram viddhi buddhyasu sukshmaya. For this one needs a very, very subtle intellect. Tat sakshikam bhavet tat tad yad yad yena anubhuyate kasyapyananubhuya bhutarthe sakshitvam nopayujyate. The teacher says that which is witnessed by something else, that tat sakshikam bhave tat. That which is witnessed by something else has the latter as its witness. That means, I already explained this point. If we are witnessing something, witnessed is different, and the witness, what is the difference between a seer and a witness, a knower and a witness, an experiencer and a witness, a seer, hearer, toucher, feeler, taster, etc., and a witness? What is the difference? Someone tell me. What is the difference between these two?
So the objects are always there.
Yes.
But the seer, if he is beyond the
So the difference between a seer and a witness will be?
Witness is unchanging.
Witness is unchanging. Witness is uninfluenced by what it is witnessing. Isn't it? A seer can be influenced. Seer is coming. Seer is the one who is identified with the objects. Witness is unidentified with the objects, correct? That clarity I wanted to put across. So,
Swami, are you making a distinction between the self being the Atman,
yes,
and body seeing, experiencing, but the ultimate drishta, the witnesser, is your
is you.
the soul,
Is you.
which is you. So you are the soul. You're not the body.
No, you are not the body. So you are witnessing the body doing everything.
Yeah.
You are witnessing the breath. You are witnessing the thoughts.
Through the
You are
body.
witnessing. Yes, body is also a thought in the mind only.
Yeah.
You are witnessing the concepts, that convictions that you have. So when I am talking all this, these are just nothing but thoughts which are appearing in your mind, and you are noticing it, and therefore you can comment about it. Therefore you can remember about it. And we comment and remember why? Because we are a listener. But if we are a witness, what will happen? There will be no comment. See? There will be no one who is owning that which is taking place in the mind, that which is taking place at the sensory level. So here the teacher says that which is witnessed by something else has the latter as its witness. When there is no entity to witness a thing, we cannot say that it has been witnessed at all. Now, this is the next jump in our understanding. And what is that? We normally define presence, absence. This thing is there, the hand is here, now there is no hand there. There is absence of the hand. We use this language, absence of the hand, absence of the objects. We say deep sleep is absence of waking and dream. Absence. Here the teacher is making us shift to the next level. that if you want to know the self, if your goal is realization, don't forget the question of the student, that I come to avoid, now how do I seek the self? How do I realize the self? This teacher is saying that when there is no entity to witness, when all objectivity has dissolved, when all objectivity has dissolved, we cannot say that it has been witnessed at all. That means when there is absence, there is no witnessing of absence. Because what is absence? That which is not. How can that which is not be an object of observation, be an object of witnessing, be an object of experience? It is not possible. Logically, it is not possible. We have hoodwinked ourselves into thinking there is something called absence, there is something called nothing, there is something called void. There is always object, but there is nothing called absence. And this is the shift in our understanding that has to take place when one objective thought comes in the mind, and when then we say there is nothing, and then the next thought comes, then there is nothing. So between two thoughts, what is?
Space.
There is consciousness. We have programmed ourselves to think that between two objects there is, आपने space बोला, void बोला, nothing बोला. But teacher is telling here, between the two objects there is only the self. Because absence is not an object of cognition or witness. So recognize this, that whenever, any time on your seat of meditation, there is utter silence in your mind, thoughts have subsided by whatever exercise or sadhana that you are doing, at that time, instead of saying and coming to the conclusion that there is nothing, no, you are. Because absence is not an object of experience. ये हमने सुना होगा स्वामी जी से कई बार. We must have heard this from Swami ji many times. This is coming from Vivek Chudamani. But we just brush it away because we go back to the norm: presence, absent, light, darkness. If you put the light off, there is nothing. There is no light. There is no light. But to call that no light as absence, again wrong. Light is always, because here we are not talking objectively, we are talking about the self. The self, the light of the self is ever present. It can never be fused. It can never be put off. And therefore, coming to the next thought, asau swasakshiko bhavo yata svenanubhuyate atah param swayam sakshat pratyagatmana chetaraha. Now, who will come to know the self? If between the two thoughts we say there is no absence, between these two objects, between this and this stand, we say there is nothing, but here the teacher is saying no, in between this there is self, not absence. Don't orient your mind towards absence. Then how do we come to know the self? The teacher says here, Swayam asau swasakshiko bhavo. He says the self is self-knowing. It doesn't need a thought to know. People live with an obsession that I want to know, I want to know, I want to know, I want to know. So, knowing is equal to being. That is what Swamiji's new book has come. It's there in the box. Knowing is being. Huh? So, I think, therefore I am. My question to you all. I think, therefore I am, or I am, therefore thinking happens. Which one is the correct statement?
I am because
I am, therefore thinking happens. But what are we obsessed with? I have to come to know, I have to come to know the self, I have to come to know the self. We study the scriptures, we take in so much data, but all that scriptural data must dissolve thinking. And that dissolution will only take place if we are subjective in our orientation. If we are objective, data will lead to more data, then this logic, this idea, that idea, they're infinite, because creation will not stop until and unless we are not subjective. So who is the self? If I keep asking who am I, who am I, who am I, who am I, there will never be an answer. Hundreds of answers will come, but it will not be it. So here the scripture tells you, Adi Shankaracharya tells us, so who is the self? Swasakshi. He is the witness of his own self. His self meaning he is self-knowing. No objective thought can ever come to know the self. Now you work it out for yourself. This is whether you take it when you are in the world, or when you take it when you are on the seat of meditation and you have reached the stage where there is only absence. The student has asked the question. The teacher is teaching him in such a manner that next time he dissolves the koshas and he comes to the Anandamaya kosh, the last one, which is called as the absence or the nothingness. Before he comes there, instead of saying there is absence, he comes to abide in the self. This is the shift, because there is nothing called absence. So here he says, the self is its own witness, swasakshi bhava, swakshikaha bhavaha, and yata svenanubhuyate, and the self is realized only by the self. The self is known only by the self. The self is revealed by the self alone. It is self-revealing. No. And where are the thoughts? In one of the koshas. Where are the senses? In one of the koshas. Where is the activity going on? In the koshas. No activity can ever make the self reveal. So if we are addicted to activity, then what is how do we go about it? We perform activity, we put the efforts only to become effortless. You put efforts to go to bed, but sleep will come only when you are effortless. So you put efforts that we can't help but do it. You come to the meditation, do whatever is required, but you become effortless. It must lead to effortlessness. And what is that effortlessness? Even if one thought is coming in your mind, it is effort. And we have to orient our mind in such a manner that that last thought dissolves by itself. And for that, this pre-conditioning, pre-understanding before going into meditation, that there is nothing called absence is necessary. That there is only the self. And in this manner, he says, the self is its own witness, for it is realized only by itself. Hence, the self itself is the supreme Brahman and nothing else. And this self that you are itself is the Brahman. Brahman, not Brahman, Brahman. That this self that you have come to know is itself the infinite self. Now I come to one more stage. What is that? First was the seer, then was the witness, now there is self, and there is Brahman. What is the difference between these three? Or are they the same? I ask. The seer is in conjunction with seen, isn't it? It's a triputi, it's a triad. Seer, seen, seeing. and the seer is continuously, the objects are changing and he is seeing. Who is a witness? He who is not influenced by what he is seeing. Then the seer becomes the witness. Correct? When the witness becomes aware of itself as if without a thought, it is the self. Because this is happening here, no? So it is the self. But self at any given moment is nothing but the infinite reality, the Brahman. So in this manner, we must be clear in our mind so that we don't go into wrong channels on the seat of meditation. And here this teach. Yeah, ask.
Which chapter are we doing?
Chapter? There is no chapter.
Viveka Chudamani is that? Verse number.
Verse number 215 to well, let me tell you. Why you bring this now? Afterwards you should have asked.
Sorry.
213. Our attention is on to access it again. Listen to it and finish yourself off right now. Hence the self itself is the supreme Brahman and nothing else. Jagrat swapna sushuptishu sfutataram yosau what is that? Yosau samujrumbhate pratyagurupataya sadahamaham ityanta surannaikadha nanakara vikara bhagina iman pashyannaham dhi mukhan nityananda chidatmana swaratidam viddhi swametam hrudi viddhi swametam hrudi. That now here he is qualifying what he has explained, that the self is self-knowing, the self is self-existing, nothing can illuminate it, nothing can know it, it is self-established, it is illuminating itself, that you are, don't forget that. Now he is qualifying it with this. Today's this we'll do this as the last one, the last verse. That which clearly manifests itself in the waking, dream and deep sleep. Is it not our experience that every day the waking, dream and deep sleep, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, come and go? Don't we know that these three come and go every day? The one who knows that these three come and go every day must be other than the waking, dream and deep sleep. This is our experience. That's what the teacher is saying. And that which shines inside uniformly and continuously as I, witnesses the ego, the intellect, etc., which are of different forms and modifications. And this observer, this witness, this Atma is in its presence, the waker ego comes, it expresses the various roles with reference to all the various objects. Then the dreamer comes, it responds to the various objects with reference to various objects, takes various roles, and both of them vanish away and the sleep comes, and then again the whole cycle keeps coming and going. But there is one person, and this is your experience, when we say, do you know that the waking, dream and deep sleep happened yesterday? You say yes. It's a very natural response of any person, but we don't go deeper into it. We don't. Here the problem is that the self is also at the same time and the waker is also at the same time. Here there is the waker and the self. Which one are you? The one who said Yes, I know the waking, dream, and deep sleep came and went yesterday. It is the self which is nodding. Can the self nod? No. Self, through the equipment, he is the witness. But then, when we get into a discussion, when we get into an argument, when we get into justification, then it is the waker. When we try to explain, it is the waker. Self cannot explain. Self only said, yeah, that's it. आगे कुछ नहीं. आगे कुछ नहीं बोल सकता witness. And that is what is told here, which is felt as existence, consciousness, bliss, absolute. Know this with your heart as your own self, and in this manner, the student is guided by the teacher that don't get lost in the idea of absence, don't get lost in the idea of void, don't get lost in the absence, in the idea of there is nothing. Instead, bring your attention to the conscious principle that you are. This void, absence, nothing comes on the seat of meditation only because our pursuit in meditation has been objective in nature. When our pursuit is subjective in nature, absence will not happen. Then only the self happens. In fact, every given moment, self alone is happening. We take this thought and we sit for some time now, for 10-15 minutes. Whatever position you are sitting, sit comfortably. Bring your attention to the consciousness that you are, in whose presence the whole world is, in whose presence this body is, in whose presence the breath is. You are that consciousness in whose presence the thoughts are. Just as appearance of color and form does not affect or influence the vision, the appearance of the words, the sound, different sounds, does not affect the ear. Ear remains the ability to hear, continues to be the ability to hear. Similarly, the appearance of thoughts and disappearance of the thoughts does not affect the mind. Mind is only a container, is only a platform on which the thoughts are coming and going. Mind is not influenced by the thoughts. Similarly, the eye, just as the eye, the seer, was not influenced by the forms and colors, I, the mind, was not influenced by the thoughts. Similarly, the I, the self, is not influenced by the waker, dreamer, and sleeper. They are naturally coming and going on a daily basis. This I, which is the independent principle by nature, is self-illumined, is self-knowing, is self-existing, And it does all this without the medium of thoughts. When a teacher is speaking these words, the words come to our ears, appear as thoughts in our mind. They act as a trigger to shift our attention to who we actually are, in spite of the thoughts. Remain in that abidance. Be that self. Slowly taking a deep breath in, moving your toes, fingers, shoulders, neck. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.